Hey everybody, it's Sunday evening and I'm getting ready to do some work here on my 125. Now I know it looks like there's something wrong with my camera, or possibly I've got some lights burned out or something like that, but that is not the case. I've just got a ton of water sprite growing there on the left. You can see how thick and dense that is. So that's just sucking up all the light from that end of the tank. And then, of course, I've got all that grunge growing on the glass down there on the right-hand side of the tank. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of algal growth directly on the glass underneath of the light I've got in the center. This tank is 6 feet long, and I have a 4-foot shop lamp right down the middle. And then on either end, I have a dome light that sort of fills in that gap at either end. There's about a foot where the shop light doesn't cover. And of course now you can see that end. You barely can tell that there's even a light there. But believe it or not, there's a very bright light there on the end of that tank. So not going to do a lot more as far as the intro. Just wanted to give you a nice good solid look at how the tank looks while it's so dark. You can see the shadows of fish swimming around in there. So everybody's doing fine. The tank is healthy enough. It's just getting a little overgrown. And that is going to be the goal of today's water change. I'm going to do a water change. I'm going to remove a lot of that water sprite. So I will have a lot of water sprite available for sale. I'll put my email down below if you're interested. I'll have water sprite, Java fern. I've got a little bit of Anubias. I got a couple little odds and ends, and I've always got something happening there. So if you're ever interested in aquatic plants, you can check out my email down below. Hit me up and we'll talk about that. In the meantime, I'm going to get started. Again, just going to remove some plants, wipe down the glass, and do a water change. Not really going to mess around with anything else while we're in there. So here's your before. Alright, and there's your after. Now, I didn't have time to wait for the tank to really settle down before I did the follow-up portion of the video here. It's only been maybe 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes since I topped the tank off and got the outside of the glass wiped down, which is the final thing I do. And my Tenopoma is still laying low. There's a little bit of debris. There's still some bubbles. You can see my Tenopoma back there. He's just doing his leaf fish sort of thing. He's not truly a leaf fish, but they behave much the way a leaf fish does. And he's just kind of hiding in the bushes right there because he's a little stressed out from the water change, of course. I did throw some algae wafers in there, so my Synodontis is cruising around getting some food. And I deliberately lowered the water temperature by a few degrees as I did the water change. I like to do that from time to time just to simulate the spring rains. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but sometimes it seems to. And I will say that my rainbow fish seem to be a little frisky now that the water has been freshened up for them. They've been displaying spawning behavior more aggressively than I've seen in a long time. The one male in the front here kind of seems to be sitting out to some degree, although he seems to be joining in a little more than he was a while ago. But the other three are physically banging into each other and striking each other. It's interesting. I've never seen actual physical contact like that. I've seen the displaying and the flashing and the sort of dancing side by side like they're doing now, but I've never seen them actually running into each other and striking each other the way they're doing. So that's kind of interesting behavior. Now, I've often wondered if I had a female in the tank, how much different the behavior would be and how much different their coloration would be. I think I got a lot of color off of them as it is, so having a female in there might actually be pretty interesting. So one of these days I'm going to be bolstering not necessarily this particular species of fish. This is a Marcy rainbow fish, and that is a man-made hybrid. And I believe one of the main fish that it's hybridized from is the Parkinson's or Parkinsoni rainbow fish. So if I did get any more, I would either get the Parkinson's to build up this school and just let them school together. You probably wouldn't even be able to tell the difference by looking at them. Or I would just get some other different type of rainbow fish altogether. Speaking of which, that's actually a female Australian rainbow fish right there. And I got several of them, and all of them died except for that one female. And so I've never bothered to bolster that school back up. So she's in there kind of by herself. So again, I'm fascinated by this rainbow fish behavior. I was not expecting to get a lot of video of the rainbow fish. So I will say that I pulled a whole lot of plants out of there. In fact, I shot a little bit of video while the tank was almost empty to give everybody a look at what the tank looked like as far as how far I drained it and how much I drained out of it. So let's go ahead and have a look at that, and then we'll wrap it up by finishing looking at these fantastic rainbow fish. Alright, I just wanted to shoot a couple of moments of video while I'm at pretty much rock bottom. This is as low as we're going to take the water. Well, it'll go a little lower while I stand here and chat for a few moments. You can see I pulled a whole lot of the water sprite out of there. I sort of broke it down into the two main mother plants, and what I pulled out of there was all of this, and that is a bucket full of it. I mean, that's a lot of water sprite in there. It's pounds of it. And I also pulled a whole bunch of nasty gunk out of there too. And we did a big filter change. The filter intake was all clogged up with roots and stuff, and so when I pulled it out, I wound up finding out that the suction was not all that great. So I assumed that the filter was clogged, and we got in there and did a filter change, and it turns out that the filter was not all that clogged. So now I'm wondering if the plumbing over here, my intake tube, doesn't have some debris clogging that up, or maybe the filters just don't draw as much as I thought. I don't know. But there you go. That's a little bit of a look at what it is when it's half full. Looks like a disaster area, but pretty soon it'll be back to up and running and everything will look great. Alright, so as you saw, I did a really big water change, probably more than 50%. And I wiped the front glass down. I've got a lot of plants. I even pulled some Java Fern Windelove out of there. All of this fern here is Java Fern, but it's the Windelove. It's got those little sort of splayed, wispy fingertips. So I've got a bunch of that available for sale. And then when I got my filter started back up, that was another thing I wanted to mention now that the tank is back up and running. I got the filter up and running, and I had to pump it to get it started, which is not always the case with these Sun filters, but a lot of times you will have to pump on that oval button right there you see on the top. That's actually a pump to get it started again and cycle the water through. And if you've never had to pump one of those to get them started, then you don't know what you're missing, because that is a lot of work sometimes when they don't want to cooperate. And that one did not want to cooperate. I actually got it, I pulled it out onto the floor and used my foot carefully, used my foot to pump it because my arm was getting tired, and eventually I got the water flowing through it, and we got the pump up and running, and everything's going and flowing again. I also noticed when I was in there and I was rooting around in the back, as I mentioned, the intake had a bunch of roots and stuff stuck in it coming off of all of this plants. And if you can kind of see right here where these Anubias are kind of going at an angle, and I don't know if you can see the white roots that are exposed, I did sort of feel a little crunching in my arm when I was reaching back through there. So I don't know if I broke the rhizome, I don't know if I broke it loose from the wood that it's anchored to, or I don't know if maybe I just felt that little sort of scrunching feeling you feel when you rub those kinds of plants together. I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, but it could have just been non-damaging whatever I was feeling. So I'm not really sure what's going on with the little crooked plants there, but we'll have to wait and see if I don't get some dying off or some odd new growth or something like that. So I can probably get in here pretty soon and start thinning out some of that Anubias. So if you don't mind getting a little bit of hair algae with your Anubias, I might be able to do some of that too. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I feel like I've already talked too long. It's getting late at night, and I still got to get all this uploaded and out there. But I did want to just finish up by showing these rainbow fish again doing their thing. They are just fantastic looking, and it really makes me want to run down the fish store and get some more, although that's kind of out of the question at the moment with my truck in the shop and so on and so forth right now. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. And then don't forget, of course, this one is my 125-gallon tank. And hopefully in the fairly near future, we'll have a bigger school of rainbow fish in there. And maybe I'll get some females too, and we'll get to see some really interesting behavior. So thanks again. I'll see you real soon in the next one.